Welcome back to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler here live in our Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. Thanks for joining us. We're here every weekday and we cover a wide range of topics. Right now, you know, with this nice weather, especially if you are watching live, it's very nice outside, but whenever it is, we're heading towards summer. A lot of people like to get outside and explore nature here in the Northwest. And something that a lot of people are doing is learning how to forage. And we want to talk about that. Right now, we've got an expert joining us to do just that. We've got Rebecca here. And Rebecca, thank you for being here on Fox 12 Now to talk about this. I love this idea. I want to find out more about it. Before we even go into that, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and, you know, how you got into this to begin with?
Yeah, my name is Rebecca Lexa. I'm a certified Oregon naturalist. I teach a number of classes on natural history topics, and I've been a lifelong nature nerd. So I've been foraging for over a decade just for personal uses. But I've also been involved in nature identification for the last couple of decades. And one of the things you find is the more you identify the plants and the fungi around you, the more you find out in your research that, hey, some of these are edible. And so, because there are a lot more people interested in foraging, especially back in 2020 with the shutdown at the pandemic, I wanted to make sure that people were really prepared to get out there and forage safely because there are things that you can eat that can really make you sick.
That was one of the first things I was going to ask is how do you make sure that you're not picking one of those things that could make you sick?
Well, in my classes, I teach through PCC and Mount Hood Community College and other venues. I walk people through the process of when I see a new plant or a mushroom, what are you actually paying attention to? Okay, you're looking at things like color and size and shape and other details. And you're doing this because you need to identify a species down to the individual species level and get it absolutely correct before you eat it. Because a lot of edible species have some toxic lookalikes, and there are no universal traits in either plants or fungi that are going to tell you whether it's edible or not.
So it's really that experience of being able to fully understand what it is that you're foraging.
Exactly, exactly. And
Um,
so, go ahead.
oh no, continue, please.
I was just going to say, so I'm actually an identification teacher first and a foraging teacher second. And I think that actually makes me a stronger teacher in the foraging end because I'm not just showing a bunch of slides, I'm actually giving you the process for anything you meet.
What are some of the most common places that people can go forage?
Um, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. For plants, for edible plants, a lot of the common garden weeds like dandelions and clover and cleavers and popweed, things like that, those are all edible. And obviously, not every weed that you find in the garden is going to be an edible species, but a lot of them are. And so often you don't have to go any further than your backyard in order to find a plant that's edible. For fungi, a lot of our edible fungi prefer a more wild area. A lot of them have very deep connections with local trees and other plants. And so you need to have that greater biodiversity to find more fungi. So usually if you're going to go looking for edible mushrooms, you're going to go out into the woods. Occasionally you'll find something here in the Portland area. There's one species of morel, for example, that really likes landscaping mulch. And so I'll just be walking around Portland in April and May, and I'll walk past somebody's landscaping, and there'll be these little edible morel mushrooms popping right out of the landscaping.
Okay, just on a side note, that makes sense. I had some of that in my front yard and there were some mushrooms there. And then one day somebody
Hmm.
had picked them all. I was like, I don't know what those were, but that sounds like that's what they were.
Hmm.
Or a good chance of that in some landscaping. So what do you think are the most important things people should know if they're going to go out and forage?
Okay, so first of all, again, you need to be really good at identification, by which I mean don't trust identification apps because they can be wrong. And we have numerous cases of people who have uh, trusted an app to say, oh, this is what this is. And then they ate it and it turned out to be something toxic. So don't just use your apps, use your field guides, other things, resources that you have available to you. There are lots of great online groups where you can post pictures of what you found and ask people, hey, what is this? And that includes a lot of very experienced foragers who can give their feedback. But also, even if you think you're just going out for a quick little, 2-hour foraging excursion, take your 10 essentials of hiking and camping. You can find that list online. It's just things like emergency food, shelter, extra layers, etc. Because things can go wrong, even on a short little jaunt. And we have, again, stories every year of foragers who went out thinking they're just going to be out for a little bit, and then they got lost or they got injured. And having those emergency supplies can be really great for making sure that you get back home safely.
That is such good advice on that. And what do you think it is about foraging that is so alluring to people?
There's something really romantic, I think, about being able to go out into the woods and pick these incredible wild foods. It connects you to the land more. We are so disconnected in the 21st century US from where our food comes from that there's something that really reconnects us to nature when we go foraging, when we garden, go fishing, things like that. It reconnects us to that process of being where the food comes from and knowing that process from end to end. And also for a lot of people, it's knowing what you eat and where it came from, and knowing that it came locally. Plus, it's just fun to go out there. My background is in eco psychology, and one of the favorite things I like to think about, even when I'm out foraging, is realizing that every time I find something interesting, whether it's something edible or just some little thing in nature that I think is cool, it kind of hits that dopamine button in my brain and makes me feel good. So I'm having fun thinking about all these foragers out there with their dopamine buttons going bing, 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 bing.
And getting to enjoy, the outdoors, getting to enjoy nature in the Northwest, which can be so fun too. Anything else that you think is important for people to know? Because I also want to let them know how to find you and take some of these classes.
Yeah, like I said, both Portland Community College and Mount Hood Community College are two local venues that frequently have my classes throughout the year. You can also find other classes that I hold on my website, RebeccaLexa.com. I did write a book called The Everyday Naturalist, How to Identify Animals, Plants, and Fungi Wherever You Go. And it really goes into more detail about all those processes and details that I use when I'm identifying plants and fungi that I don't recognize.
And so there is a process for that.
Oh, very much so.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
basically, I lay my process out, and then you are welcome to take that and tinker with it however it works best for you.
well, Rebecca, it's great talking to you. This is fascinating stuff, and now I want to get that book and take a look myself. It'll be a while before I'm super brave with the mushrooms, but the rest of it, it sounds like I might have something in my backyard. So, thank you very much for joining us here on Fox 12 Now. I really appreciate it, and thanks for your time and your expertise in this.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and have a lovely rest of your day.
You too. And for everybody watching, we are live here. As I mentioned before, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We've got a little more for you here as we head towards our 4 p.m. news. So thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.